Assalamu alaikum students. How are you all? I hope you are well. I am Maqsudur Rahman and I am here to take this class for class 2's English Creative. I must say that I especially miss the students of class 2 and I wish I could have been taking this class face to face. Anyways, inshallah, we'll do that soon. So today we will be starting unit 7 and we will also go through the exercises and then we will try to finish the checkup 1 part as well. Okay, so unit 7 is called ears. Now what are ears? Yes, I think we all know what ears are. No students, that's not what we are talking about. That's a different kind of ear and it's a homophone, I know, of the ear that we are talking about, but we are done with homophones, right? Okay, let's have another guess. Nice, yes. These are the ears that we are talking about. So ears are basically the sensory organs that helps us to hear sounds. Just like eyes help us to view something or our nose helps us to smell or take the fragrance of something. Just like that, ears are the sensory organs that help us to hear. Okay, now let's turn to the text. Starting unit 7, ears. We hear sounds through our ears. Our ears collect sounds. Collect means to gather. If you cup your hand round your ear, you can collect more sound. Cupping means to curl up your hand. The gesture that we make when we curl up our hands and put it behind our ears to hear more, right? Try to make a funnel with a piece of paper. Can you collect even more sound? A funnel is an object which is shaped like a cone. You must have seen some of the vendors who sell things in the street. They use these funnels to make their voice louder, right? So if we make a funnel, we can do this experiment and see if we can collect more sound or not. Our ears are delicate. Delicate means something that is very sophisticated or something that can be easily broken, right? We must always be careful not to put anything in them or we may damage them forever. Damage means to harm. So this is very important. We must never put anything in our ears because we can harm our inner ear, right? The mechanism of the ear. So we should never do that. Okay, moving on now. If you look at the diagram given in the book on page 28, you will see that it is very descriptive and very nicely given, right? We can see all the parts of our ears. Okay, sounds come into our outer ear. The eardrum is like a thin wall. It protects the middle and inner ear. Three tiny bones in the middle ear join the eardrum to the inner ear. The inner ear is a tiny tube filled with liquid and tiny hairs. Okay, so the inner ear, you must have seen this if you have ever seen anyone or you yourself have eaten the head of any large fish that we get in the market, right? Once it is cooked, if you have eaten the head of the fish, you must have seen that in the gills or near the fish's ear, there are these tiny hair-like things, right? So that is what we have also in our inner ears. Okay, it has a special function. We'll look at that now. Sounds make the eardrum move or vibrate. Vibrate means to move very fast or to and fro. So just follow me in the picture here. We can see that the outer part or the outer ear is gathering or collecting the sound. Then the sound is making the eardrum move or vibrate, which makes the bones in the middle ear vibrate. So this eardrum is making the bones in the middle ear to vibrate as well, which makes the hairs in the inner ear vibrate. So the uh, the hair in the inner ear is also being vibrated due to this sound. So you see how this sound is being passed on. Finally, the brain can tell what kind of sound is heard by the way these hairs move. So there are different types of sounds, right? Like uh, just think of a guitar. A guitar must have a specific type of sound. Then think of the flute. They are not the same, right? The types of sounds are not the same. Or a drum. They all have different types of sounds, right? So how can we differentiate this, or how can we tell the difference? The brain can tell what kind of sound is heard by the way these hairs move, right? So in our inner ears, what happens is when we hear the different types of sounds, the hairs move in different ways, and our brain can pick out what type of sound it is hearing by the movement of those hairs, right? So again, this is a very descriptive uh, and informative unit about our ears, right? So okay, before we move on to the exercises, let's just go through the difficult word meanings and the summary of the chapter. Okay, so these are the word meanings that we found from the unit: collect, cup, funnel, delicate, damage, protect, tiny, tube, and vibrate, right? So let's just quickly go through the summary of the unit. Okay, so firstly, we saw that we hear sounds through our ears, right? So our ears are the sensory organ which helps us to hear sound. Then we saw that our ears are very delicate, right? So we learned that we should never put anything in our ears because that might harm or damage our ears. Then in the diagram, we saw that our ear was divided into parts, right? So mainly we have the outer ear, the eardrum, the middle ear, and the inner ear. So again, we saw that each part had its own role to play, right? So to sum it all up, we can say that the outer ear, it is collecting the sound. The eardrum, once it is getting the sound, it is vibrating, and it is also like a curtain between the outer ear and the middle ear. And then we saw that in the middle ear we had three tiny little bones, and those bones also vibrated hearing the sound. Then finally we had the inner ear, right? And the inner ear was filled with a tube with liquid, and it had tiny hairs as well, right? Like the gills of a fish, and those hairs were responsible to detect the type of sound, right? So finally, we saw that our brain can make out the different types of sounds with the help of the inner ear or with the help of the hairs of the inner ear, right? We saw that, however, the hairs of the inner ear was moving, the brain was able to detect the type of sound from that movement, right? So that's basically the summary of the unit. It's very interesting and informative, right? Okay, now let's turn to the exercises. Okay, so firstly, the comprehension skills part. Okay, so if we focus on this, we can see that we have these fill in the blanks and we have these question answers. Now for the fill in the blanks, you can do it in the book, and you have these what you call it, easy words to find out and fill up the sentence with, right? So you can find this out easily from the book, I am hoping. Okay, for the question answers, definitely you need to do this as classwork and in your copies, and please do it the proper way. I usually urge you to write full answers, so you should answer in full. Like, I'll give you examples. Like, how can we collect more sound for our ear? We can collect more sound for our ear by doing this. Then what does the eardrum protect? The eardrum protects this. Then why should we never put anything in our ears? We should never put anything in our ears because, then you can answer, right? So I need you to answer in full. Okay, so the next part is the language skills part. This is fun. This is definitions, and the definition of a word tells us what it means. We definitely know that, right? So it's basically the word, the meaning of the word. Now I have given you the word meaning list, so this will be easy for you to do. You can do this in the book, and what you need to do is you can simply just match each of the word with its meaning. Okay, and for number B as well, you need to do that in your copy as classwork. Check your definition with the definition in a dictionary. So you need to check your definition. Before that, write your definition of year, right? So you need to make up a definition of your own for the word year and do that according to whatever we have learned from the unit. So after doing that, you can check it with the dictionary and see how close you can get. Okay, so these are pretty simple. Okay, now turning to the next page, which is page 30. This part is quite easy as well. So again, let's just focus on this part. We can see how to write proper sentences, right? So every sentence must make sense. There are three things a sentence needs to help it make sense. What are those three things? A capital letter, which a sentence must start with, a verb, which must be in the sentence, and a full stop, which must be at the end of the sentence, right? And what is a verb? You can see in the box here. Remember, the verb is the active or doing word, right? So write these sentences putting in the capital letter and full stop. Underline the verbs. The first one is done for you. Okay, you can see the example in the first one. This is easy. Nasim threw a ball. So you can see Nasim's N. We are using a capital letter for this because it is not only a proper noun but also the starting of a sentence. Through, we have underlined through. Why? Because through is the verb here, and we have added a full stop at the end of the sentence, right? So this is how you need to do the other ones. So the second one, I'll just give you a hint. It, make I of it capital. Then Shahnaz is definitely a noun, so you need to make that capital as well. And finally, uh, uh, add a full stop at the end of the sentence, and also underline the verb, and the verb over here is hit, so underline hit as well. Okay, so these I would probably need you to do it in your copies as homework. Okay, so do it in the copy. Okay, so the next one is the EA and R pattern. So this is again something fun to do. We have what you call over here, we have some definitions of the words which are in the ER pattern, right? The word or the unit that we just completed is called ear. right? So using that pattern, we have different words over here, like ear, here, dear, fear, near, rear, all these. Okay, so now what you need to do is you need to choose a word from the box above to match each definition. So uh, what you can do is you can write the numbers before each word, right? So that way you can do this exercise in the book. I'll give you a few examples, like firstly, at the back. So rear means at the back, right? So you can write down 1 before rear in the box, right? So this is how you can complete the exercise. And to go through the words, I'll just make it easy for you. Year means the time, right? The time frame. 12 months make a year. Hear means to hear sounds, something audible, right? And dear is something that is dear to you or near to you or something beloved to you, right? Fear means when you are afraid, okay? And near means something that is close by, okay? So I have just made that pretty easy for you, okay? For a quick recap, we can say that from page number 29, what you need to do is you need to complete exercise A as page 29. First of all, you need to complete everything as classwork. Exercise A, do it in your book of comprehension skills. Exercise B of comprehension skills in your copy, right, as classwork. Then uh, the definitions part, again, exercise A, you can do it in the book. Exercise B, you need to do it in your copy. And on page 30, the sentences part, do it in your copy as homework. And the E, A, and R pattern, you can do this in the book, right, by giving numbers besides the words in the boxes. Okay, so that's done. Now let's turn to the next page, page 31. Okay, so this is onomatopoeia. Now, what is this? Okay, let's see what's written in the book. Sometimes we make words from the sound they describe. These sound words are called onomatopoeic words. Okay, so if you remember, we have already studied the sound words in Unit 6, right? So onomatopoeia is similar to that, but a bit different. Now, let me give you an example. Supposedly, sing is a sound word, right? Or rumble of the thunder is a sound word, right? Also, shout may be a sound word. Now, think of this word shout. Now, if you think a bit more deeply, you will see that shouting may be of many forms. For example, ah, this can be a type of a shout. Another type may be the one we utter when we get hurt, like ouch, right? Another form of shout may be the one that we use when we want to call someone, like oe, right? So all these words like and ouch and oe, these are making the onomatopoeic words, or in other words, you can say these words are made up like the actual sound of the word, right? So let's go through some more examples. Let's look at the book again. Look at this part. The stone went plop in the water. So this word plop is actually like the sound when a stone is dropped in the water. The noise that the stone makes is similar to the word plop. Or I heard the hiss of the snake. So the hissing sound that the snake makes, or the hissing noise that the snake makes, is similar to the word, and that is why it is called onomatopoeia or an onomatopoeic word, and that is how onomatopoeia is formed, right? Okay, let me give you another example of my own. Let's say the engine of the car started with a vroom vroom sound. So this noise vroom is actually like the sound of the engine, right? The word vroom comes from the noise. Okay, so I hope you get that. So basically we can say that onomatopoeia is the sound word that is made up of the actual sound or the phonetics of the sound, right, or the word. Okay, so let's turn to the exercises, but before that I just want you to show this slide so that you can find some more onomatopoeic words. Okay, now the exercises. Choose an onomatopoeic word from the box below to match each sound. Okay, again you can do this like the previous exercise. You can just write the numbers beside the words in the box, right? So this I'll help you out with because you might not be familiar with all the words. So first of all, walking on dry leaves, definitely they make a crunching sound, right? Like crunch crunch whenever we walk on dry leaves. So walking on dry leaves will be crunch. Then we have distant thunder. So thunder usually makes a rumbling sound, right? So that is rumble. Thunder rumbles, right? Third one is burning twigs, and burning twigs make a crackling sound, so that is crackle. Fourthly, we have opening a rusty gate. I think we already discussed this in unit 6. Whenever we open a rusty gate, it makes a sound like something like that. I don't know how that sounded. It must have sounded funny in the video, but anyways, that's the sound that a rusty gate makes. So the sound is creak, right? So uh, the next one is jumping into water. Jumping into water, we know this, it makes a splashing sound, right? And finally we have dropping a heavy chain. Whenever a chain hits the floor, we hear a clanking sound, right? Or whenever we move a chain, we hear this sound clank. Okay, so these are all onomatopoeic words. Now for exercise B, what you need to do is you need to go through this poem. This is a nice poem by Eileen Fisher, and it's about weather, right? It says weather is full of the nicest sounds, and these are the sounds, these are the words that make the sounds, right? So what you need to do is you need to try a poem like this about traffic going down a street. So when you after you read the poem, this one, like this one, it says it sings and rustles and pings and pounds, and these are all the words we can get from the weather. And you need to make a similar poem, and you need to take the words from uh, from the traffic jam. Okay, just imagine that you are stuck in traffic and think of all the onomatopoeic words that you can hear whenever you are stuck in traffic, right? So that's what you can do. This might be a bit difficult, but I hope you'll be able to do it. Take some help and do some research if you can do some research, and just try to write a short poem, right? So that's the onomatopoeic words part. Okay, so check up 1, the vocabulary part. This is on page 32. Oh, sorry, before I forget, you need to do, uh, coming back to the previous slide, you need to uh, do the onomatopoeia, the exercise A in the book, and you need to make up the poem, this part in the book, and for the poem part you need to write it down in your class, in your copy as homework, right? Okay, now coming to the vocabulary part. Okay, so this is quite easy. We have already done all of these before. So just for a quick recap, I can tell you that we have gone through these different types of adjectives. Okay, in the first and second exercise, the first and second sentence, you can see small, smaller, smallest, and big, bigger, biggest. So when do we use each of these? We have gone through this in class, but I'll still tell you. I'll use the adjective smart. Okay, so supposedly I told you in class we had three conditions, right? Supposedly we have a boy named A, for example. Okay, so the first condition is whenever we have one person or thing, we use the actual adjective, right? Also called the positive form. So I can say A is a smart boy. Now supposedly we are comparing between two boys. So we have two boys named A and B. So whenever we are comparing, I can say A is smarter than B. So we are using ER to our actual adjective, and this is also called the comparative form, right? Then finally, if we have three boys, for example A, B and C, we usually go for the superlative form, right? Using adding est to our actual adjective. Like if we have three boys A, B and C, we will say A is the smartest among all the boys or among the three boys. Okay, so whenever we are comparing between three or more things or persons, we go for the superlative form or use est with the actual adjective. Okay, so you'll be able to do this. And was and where is easy. We usually use was with singular nouns or pronouns, and where with plural nouns or pronouns. Okay, so this part is also easy. And to and to, these are the homophones that we went through. And to means to a certain place, a specific place, right? I'm going to visit Paris. Or to, TOO2, should mean something excessive, right? Or inclusive, right? Like uh, the boy was too tall for his age. Okay, like the boy must have been too tall for his age. And it's that means over here TOO2 means very, right? And to can also mean also. How? The boy liked the eraser and the pencil too. So the boy not only liked the eraser, but he also liked the pencil, right? And TOO2 is pretty simple. It's the number 2. Okay. Okay, now after this part, let's focus on this part, grammar and punctuation. This is again another easy thing to do. What you need to do is write A or N before each of these words, and A is written when we have a consonant, and N is used before a vowel, right? Whenever a word is starting with vowel, we use an N. So that's simple. And over here we have this. It says write these sentences putting in any missing capital letters, full stops or question marks. So again, we must use the capital letters to start the sentence, and at the end we must use a full stop or a question mark. Okay, now as review, I can say the vocabulary part you can do in the book for checkup 1, and the grammar and punctuation part, exercise A, you can do in the book, but exercise B, do it as homework in your copy. Okay. Okay, focusing on this part in the last page. Read this sentence carefully. The clever juggler caught the red ball. Now answer these questions about it. This is very simple. Write the two nouns. So we know that nouns are naming words, and for that we have two naming words in this sentence, right? I'll help you out by giving you one naming word. So the first one is definitely juggler. It's a noun or a naming word. The other one, you have to find out which word is a verb. The doing word, definitely the word caught, right? The clever juggler caught is a action word or a doing word, and that is the verb over here. Again, write the two adjectives. So there are two adjectives here. Again, I'll help you out. So the first adjective is definitely clever because it is describing the noun juggler, right? So another adjective you have to find out. So for C, do it in your copy as homework. Number D, you can do it in the book. You just need to make the words plural, right? Or the nouns plural. It is very simple. Okay, now for the last part, this is the spelling part, and these are about the alphabetical order. Now the questions from 1 to 7 is extremely easy. You just need to know your ABCs to do this, right? So do these in the copy. Now regarding question 8, 9 and 10, again you need to do this in your copy, but before that I'll just help you out. I'll tell you, I think you have done this in your spellings, and you must have done this before, but still I'll help you out. Write these letters in alphabetical order. So the alphabetical order is the order which starts from A and ends at Z, right? So over here we have these letters which are all jumbled up. What you need to do is you need to sort these letters according to the alphabetical order. So definitely the first one will be A, right? As we can see over here. The second one will be the letter which is closest to A. Okay, so think of the letters all laid out in front of you from A to Z. So A will be the first one, the next one will be the one closest to A. So over here it is D, right? So and so on. So that is how you need to do the exercise, do this question using the alphabetical order. For number 9 and 10, instead of letters we have these words, and what you need to do is you need to look at the first letter of each word, right? So that way you can find out and write down the words in the alphabetical order. First of all, I'll just help you out with number 9. Firstly, we see the word act over here. It starts with A, so A is the first letter in the alphabetical word, in the alphabetical order, right? So the next one is ball, which starts with B. So after A comes B, that is the next one in the alphabetical order, and so on. Clown starts with C. So first we had act, then we had ball, then we will have clown, and finally we will write down the word drop because D is next in the alphabetical order. So A, B, C and D, right? So that is how we do the exercise. That is how we do this question. Okay, students, so finally we have come to the end of our lesson, and that is also the end of our half-yearly syllabus. So I hope you'll be studying and completing all your homework, then start revising as well. So I know this has been quite a long class for a video class, but we have had to cover a lot of stuff. So inshallah, I'm hoping to see you soon. Thank you for your patience, and Allah Hafiz. Take care. Assalamu alaikum.